Maybe I need now. One team my down with me. I don't got no name, no what's the names other. I got tired of hoping don't fuck other niggas. Shorty bugging, must have thought I was that other nigga. Kicked it to the curve.
This is Leonard Robinson, a rapper who goes by the name Pole Boy D Rose. And right now he's sitting in a Massachusetts jail cell waiting for trial. But if you check his Facebook page, he had some things to say and he wants everyone to hear him out. February 2025, he posted this. I'm really getting tired of these females that don't know nothing about me or the situation I'm in, calling me a fucking women killer. Like I ain't never ever been the type of nigga to kill a female, and literally every and any female that I have ever been in a relationship with can and will tell you that. He goes on, says he was wrongfully accused for the death of his baby mother just because he lived in the same house she died in. Says no one knows what happened. Says people should let those who actually know him speak up. This is his baby mama, Deja Jenkins Minus, 22 years old, was found dead in his locked bedroom with over 50 stab wounds, a fractured neck, and their 2-month-old daughter was in that house when it all happened. So let me take you back, because what Leonard is not telling you is everything that led up to Thanksgiving Day 2021. And Deja, she left receipts, the kind that don't disappear. But before we begin to go deeper into this conversation, let's at least get to know who Deja Jenkins was. February 15th, 1999, Boston, Massachusetts. LaToya Minus and Lamar Jenkins welcomed their daughter into the world. They named her Deja Nicolay Jenkins Minus, and from the jump, she was a child who brought light. That's what people say when they talk about Deja. Her smile was contagious. She was the type of kid who could walk into a room and change the whole energy. Bright, joyful, the kind of daughter every parent prays for. Growing up in Mattapan, Deja was into all the things young girls love: cheerleading, music, dancing. She had this goofy side to her that her friends still talk about. On your worst day, Deja would make you laugh. On your lowest day, she'd find a way to lift you up. As she got older, that light didn't dim. It got stronger. And by the time she was a teenager, Deja had become the type of friend everybody wanted in their corner. Loyal, real, outspoken. She spoke her mind, and if you didn't like it, that was your problem, not hers. But don't get it twisted. Deja wasn't confrontational. She wasn't out here looking for drama. Matter of fact, if you had a problem with Deja Jenkins, 9 times out of 10, you were the issue. Because people who knew her, they loved her. Meanwhile, in school, Deja was smart and intelligent. She was an A and B student. Hardworking, her parents had raised her right, taught her about putting in the work and going after what you want. So by her senior year in 2018, she wasn't just graduating. She had scholarship offers waiting for her. Multiple schools like UMass, Dartmouth, New England College, University of Massachusetts, Boston, the list goes on. And she was already working. Had a job at Shake Shack, making her own money, buying what she wanted, learning independence. Her future was wide open. Out of all those offers and all the opportunities to go away and start fresh somewhere new, Deja chose to stay in Boston, close to home, close to family. That tells you something about who she was. But there was something else that had been part of Deja's life since she was 14 years old. Someone who kept coming back into the picture, no matter how many times things fell apart. Leonard Robinson. They met at the Chavoo roller skating rink when Deja was 14, and Leonard was about the same age. It was love at first sight, right from the get-go. You know, that instant connection young people feel when they think they've found the one. They even had what they called their first date on that same day they met. Young love, the kind that makes you feel like you found the right one at 14. But like most relationships that start that young, it didn't last. They broke up, got back together, broke up again. And for the next 8 years, Deja and Leonard would be on and off, unable to detach. Now, Deja didn't just sit around waiting for Leonard during those 8 years. When she was in 10th grade, she met someone else. A high school sweetheart. They had chemistry too. But by senior year, that relationship was done. And when Deja became single, Leonard had a way of working himself back in every single time. So by 2020, they're back together again. Deja is 21, and this time something happens that changes everything. She gets pregnant. Deja was excited, nervous, yeah. She was young, about to be a first-time mom, stepping into something completely new. But she was ready. She wanted this. She was already talking about the future, posting about her baby, making plans. But here's the thing. She was going to have to go through most of that pregnancy without Leonard, because halfway through, he got locked up. Gun charges, 2 separate cases. Leonard Robinson was behind bars. And what did Deja do? She never left his side. She advocated for him to be free on social media, stood by him even while he was down. That's the type of person she was. Loyal to a fault. September 2021. Deja gives birth to a baby girl. They name her Lonnie. And when Deja looked down at her daughter for the first time, something clicked. She posted about it, talked about how life was different now, how she had to be the best mother she could be, how this little girl was her world. Deja Jenkins Minus had a plan for her daughter, a plan for their future, but 2 months later that plan would be ripped apart, because after Leonard was free, they would break up again. Now, it was the holiday season in November 2021, and despite everything, despite them not being a couple, Deja wanted her daughter to spend time with her father. Now, if you go back and look at what was happening on social media during this time, you start to see the tension. Leonard had been posting publicly, questioning whether baby Lonnie was even his, talking about DNA tests, expressing anger. And Deja, she wasn't about to dignify that with a response. October 18th, she posted this. "You gotta let people think whatever about you. No clarification needed." She knew the truth. She didn't owe the internet an explanation. But as Thanksgiving approached, you could see her frustration growing. The day before Thanksgiving, November 24th, she made her feelings clear. A nigga that's not loyal to his kids is not loyal to no one. Deja was speaking a truth that resonated. A man who won't show up for his own child won't show up for anybody, no matter what. Thanksgiving Day 2021. The Minus family is gathered. The table is set. This is supposed to be a celebration. Baby Lonnie's first Thanksgiving, but there's an empty seat at that table. Deja hasn't shown up. Now at first, it's not an immediate panic. She had gone to Leonard's place the night before, and maybe she's just running late. Maybe the baby needed something. Maybe traffic. You know how it is. They called and texted her phone severally, but no response. Hours pass. Thanksgiving dinner is happening without her, and that empty seat is starting to feel heavy. Latoya Minus, Deja's mother, knew something was wrong. She would later tell reporters that,
I knew something was wrong. I knew something was wrong. I didn't know what, but I knew something was wrong.
That's a mother's instinct. That feeling in your gut that won't go away. So Thanksgiving night comes. Still no word from Deja. The family is trying to stay calm, but that panic is setting in now. By the next morning, Friday, November 26th, Latoya has had enough. She pulls up the Find My iPhone app, tracks Deja's phone, and the location pings back to one place. Leonard Robinson's house in Lowell. Latoya drives out there, gets to the house on Lowell Street. She starts knocking on the door. Nobody answers. The house is dark and silent. You can tell nobody's home, and her car was not parked outside. She knocks on the neighbor's door, asks if they've seen anything. The neighbor, Roger Rondeau, tells her, yeah, he saw Deja yesterday. Early Thanksgiving morning, she came in with the baby, had a pack of diapers, but after that, he hasn't seen her. That's when Latoya calls the police and requests a welfare check. Lowell police arrive around 10:45 Friday morning. They approach the house, but the doors are locked. There's only so much they can do without forcing entry. They're assessing the situation when someone else shows up. A family member. Now some reports say it was one of Leonard's relatives, others say it was one of Deja's. Either way, this person makes a decision. They're not waiting. They climb through a window. Once inside, they start searching the house, moving from room to room, and then they get to a bedroom. The door is locked. They kick it in, and what they see on the other side of that door will leave their hearts scarred for life. Deja Jenkins Minus is on the floor, next to an air mattress. She's gone. And it's clear this was not natural. This was violent. The family member immediately alerts the police. Officers enter the home and secure the scene. They call for backup. CSI is dispatched. The medical examiner is called. And there's something else. Something that sends a jolt of fear through everyone on that scene. The baby, 2-month-old Lonnie. She's not there. So now they're working a homicide and a missing child case. Where is the baby? And where is Leonard Robinson? The investigation moves fast. Authorities execute a search warrant on the Loveland Street home. They're processing the scene, collecting evidence. And they find it. A knife. Appears to be consistent with the murder weapon. But there's more. Blood evidence throughout the house. In the kitchen. On the floors. On the walls. This wasn't contained to one room. There had been a struggle. The medical examiner performs the autopsy, and the findings are devastating. Deja's neck was fractured. She had over 58 stab wounds to her body, sharp force injuries to her upper torso, front and back of her neck. Her face, the back of her head, there were defensive wounds on her hands and her arms. 58 times. Let that sink in. 58 separate injuries. This wasn't a single moment of anger. This wasn't a brief altercation. The medical examiner would later note that the nature and number of injuries suggested this attack went on for some time, and then, to ensure she was gone, her neck was fractured. Prosecutors would further describe the scene in court. Middlesex County Assistant District Attorney Thomas Brandt said,
"What we have in this situation, Your Honor, is that Deja is found in the house that he was living in alone, in his bedroom, which was locked when any witness or the police came to that location."
But here's what helped investigators piece together what happened. Leonard Robinson wasn't just on probation for those gun charges, he was wearing a GPS ankle monitor. One of the conditions of his release. And that device, it told a story. The GPS data showed Leonard was at his home on Loveland Street until approximately 2 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day. Then the device tracked him leaving, driving south on Interstate 93, arriving in Dorchester by 3 p.m., and at 4:56 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day, the GPS signal stopped. Because Leonard Robinson cut off his ankle monitor, now while investigators are building this timeline, there's still one urgent question. Where is baby Lonnie? 2 days after Deja's body was discovered, the answer comes. The baby is found, safe with one of Leonard's relatives, unharmed. Thank God. But where's Leonard? He vanished. There's an active warrant out for his arrest. Now, while law enforcement is busy tracking him down, the community is demanding answers.
A grieving family is asking for the public's help in finding the killer of 22-year-old Deja Jenkins Minus. Police have said nothing about a suspect in the case since her body was discovered on Friday.
Deja's mother, Latoya, spoke to the press. Her pain was unbearable.
And I'm lost. I'm hurt. I'm numb. I'm angry. And I want justice for my baby and my grandbaby. And they told me that my daughter, that she was stabbed.
Did they say by who?
No, I don't know yet. Just come forward. I'm not angry. I'm more mad that they won't come forward.
But Leonard Robinson wasn't turning himself in. He was running. On Monday, November 29th, 2021, 4 days after Thanksgiving, Leonard Robinson was located in Boston. He was arrested.
Robinson was described by prosecutors as an on-again, off-again boyfriend of Jenkins Minus. He was arrested in Boston.
And when investigators questioned him, his story kept changing. First, he tells them he hasn't seen Deja in 2 weeks, hasn't been around her, doesn't know anything. They confront him with evidence. The neighbor saw her arrive. The GPS monitor said he was at home. Her body was found in his bedroom, so he changes his story. Okay, fine, she did come by on Thanksgiving, but he didn't let her in. She left. He hasn't seen her since. But that doesn't line up either, because the neighbor didn't just see her arrive. He saw Leonard let her in, saw her walk inside with the baby and the diaper bag. And there's more. That same neighbor, Roger Rondeau, saw something else later that day. Around 1:50 p.m., Thursday afternoon, Thanksgiving Day, he saw Leonard sitting in the driver's seat of Deja's car, just sitting there, for 15 to 20 minutes. Surveillance footage from the street shows that car leaving about 10 minutes later, so Leonard's lies aren't adding up. The evidence was everywhere. On November 30th, 2021, Tuesday morning, Leonard Robinson was arraigned in Lowell District Court. He's being charged with murder, but he pleads not guilty. The courtroom was packed. Deja's family filled the entire front row. Her mother, LaToya, friends, people who loved her, people who are devastated. The prosecutor lays out the case. Assistant District Attorney Thomas Brandt walks through the evidence.
What the medical examiner's office noted was that Deja's neck was fractured, that she had over 58 stab wounds to her body by a sharp object.
He talks about the GPS data, the timeline, the locked bedroom, and then he talks about the motive.
Further investigation revealed that there had been social media posts by the defendant questioning whether he was the father of the child, questioning whether he should have a DNA test, and also stating that he was mad at Deja, and I would suggest providing motive.
Paternity doubts. That's what they believe drove this. Leonard had been posting publicly, questioning whether baby Lonnie was his, expressing anger at Deja, and prosecutors believe that anger turned into rage. Leonard's defense attorney, George Murphy, barely says anything at this point. He hasn't received discovery yet, no comment, but there's a moment in that courtroom that speaks volumes. Murphy mentions that his client, Leonard, fears for his safety at the Middlesex jail, and Deja's family members, sitting in that first row, all laughed, not because it was funny. It's the audacity. This man just took a member of their family's life, and he's here worried about his own safety. Leonard Robinson is ordered held without bail. A probable cause hearing is scheduled for December 30th. As the family leaves the courthouse, they don't speak to reporters, but LaToya posts on Facebook later that day, "Life for me will never be the same, and I need time to adjust. Until then, keep the love pouring and keep her memory alive." In the days following the arraignment, the community rallies. Dozens of people gather outside Deja's home in Mattapan.
Dozens of people gathered outside of the victim's home here in Mattapan, lighting candles, comforting her mother, a 22-year-old woman, a new mother, taken far too soon, the pain too difficult to put into words. Hugs turned into uncontrollable sobs at a candlelight vigil near the Morton Street housing development. Relatives of Deja Jenkins Minus identified the 22-year-old as the woman brutally murdered in Lowell Friday. Her body, the Middlesex District Attorney says, was found inside a home with multiple stab wounds. Loved ones showed up by the dozens, blocking off a portion of Wood Bowl Avenue to mourn, not only for Jenkins Minus, but for her 2-month-old daughter, now without a mother. Investigators say her killing wasn't random. The crowd here in Mattapan praying for an arrest. Jenkins Minus does leave behind a 2-month-old daughter. They're rallying, doing everything they can to come up with donations to help this family get through the winter. From Mattapan, I'm Tiffany Chan for WBZ News.
So Leonard Robinson sits in jail, charged with taking the life of Deja Jenkins Minus, the mother of his child. And as the case moves through the legal system, something becomes clear. This is going to take a while. December 30th, 2021. The probable cause hearing happens. The case moves forward. Leonard remains held without bail. And then the waiting begins. 2022, 2023, 2024. And still no trial. Now for Deja's family, every day without a trial is another day without closure. Another day of waiting. Another day of pain. LaToya Minus is raising her granddaughter, baby Lonnie, who will grow up knowing her mother only through photos, through stories, through videos. And while the family waits for justice, Leonard Robinson is active on social media. November 2024. 3 years after Deja's passing, Leonard posts on Facebook, "When they want you to be the bad guy, not even the truth can change their mind." Playing the victim, suggesting that no matter what the truth is, people have already made up their minds about him. But it's what he posted before that that will really tell you where his head is at. See, at some point after his arrest, Leonard made a post about Deja, and the way he tells it, she was his everything. He writes, "R.I.P. my first love. A love so strong I ain't never let a bitch, a nigga, or a mistake turn me away from her. I've always been misunderstood by everyone but her. This girl done had my back through thick and thin. It was her who defended me when everybody had the wrong picture of me. It was her that held me down when I was locked down and had no money for canteen. And it was her who stuck by my side no matter what. He goes on about how thankful he is for her loyalty, how they both cheated at times, but she was always loyal when it really counted. And then he says this, most importantly, I am thankful for her giving me a beautiful daughter, and just to clear the air, I have never not claimed my child. I simply asked for a DNA test to confirm she was mine, but I understand why Deja took it the wrong way. I wasn't perfect, and neither was she, but we were perfect for each other. Now, if you remember the DNA post he's talking about, you'll realize it wasn't just a simple request as he's trying to put it, but straight public doubt, disrespect, and false accusations. And Deja felt it. I'm sure most of us would be embarrassed too. He didn't trust her one bit. Leonard continues in that post, we have been lovers and friends since 2013, and she is still with me in spirit. I understand how it looks from the outside looking in, but trust and believe that I love this girl so much I could never do something this brutal and heartless to her. Things happened at my grandfather's house that I cannot speak on at the moment, but I do plan to have a conversation with LaToya when she feels up to it. Wait, his grandfather's house? This whole time we've been talking about his house on Lawland Street, the house where Deja was found, the house where he lived, and now he's saying things happened at his grandfather's house that he can't speak on? What is that supposed to mean? He goes on, please don't listen to anyone that says I told them something about this situation, because I've only spoken with my lawyer and a couple close family members about it. I was told by my lawyer to not speak on it with nobody, and I haven't. So if anybody say they heard something from me, they lying. So he's telling people not to believe anything unless it comes from him, that he's been advised not to talk. But then he's talking on Facebook for everyone to see. He ends the post like this, I haven't been able to post how much I love and miss my baby mother due to rumors. If you check the comments on that post, you will see the divide. Some people defending him, others calling him out. But here's the thing that nobody can deny. The thing that makes this whole paternity doubt angle fall apart. Baby Lonnie, she looks exactly like Leonard Robinson. As she's gotten older, the resemblance is undeniable. She has his face, his features. There was never any question. That little girl is his daughter, always was. So if this whole thing was about paternity, about him not thinking the baby was his, he was wrong. Devastatingly, tragically, horrifically wrong. He took the life of the mother of his child over doubts that were never valid to begin with. And then we get to February 2025, the post we started with, the one where Leonard is frustrated about being called a women killer, where he's claiming innocence, where he's saying people don't know the situation. But here's what we do know. We know Deja Jenkins Minus went to his house on Thanksgiving morning 2021. Her body was found in his locked bedroom. We know she sustained over 50 stab wounds and had a fractured neck. Also, Leonard's GPS ankle monitor placed him at the scene until 2 p.m. that day. We know he cut off that ankle monitor at 4:56 p.m. He took baby Lonnie to a relative's house. We know he fled. His story changed multiple times when questioned. We know a neighbor saw Deja arrive and saw Leonard let her in. We also know that same neighbor saw Leonard sitting in Deja's car hours later. These are facts, not rumors, not speculation. Facts. And yet Leonard Robinson maintains his innocence, says he was wrongfully accused, that things happened at his grandfather's house that he can't talk about, that people should wait for the trial. And speaking of the trial, in that February 2025 post, Leonard mentions it. If you want to know what happened, please come to my trial on July 21st and watch me prove my innocence, please. He wants people to come watch him prove his innocence on his trial day, which will be July 21st, 2025. That would be 3.5 years after Deja was killed. And if that trial date holds, if there are no more delays, then maybe there will finally be some answers. some closure, some justice for the family. That act of putting her daughter first, trying to do the right thing, cost Deja her life. And now baby Lonnie is being raised by her grandmother, Latoya Minus, who has to explain to this little girl, as she gets older, what happened to her mother, who has to show her photos and videos and try to keep Deja's memory alive. There are videos online now of Lonnie as a toddler kissing a poster of her mother. That image broke people, because that baby will never know her mother's voice, never feel her mother's embrace, never have her mother there for the milestones. First day of school, graduations, all of it, gone, because of 58 stab wounds and a fractured neck, because of rage that should have never reached that point, because a DNA test was available the whole time, but violence was chosen instead. Deja's case became part of the Massachusetts State Domestic Violence Fatality Review. She's listed among the victims of domestic violence homicides in 2021, 22 years old, killed by her current male partner at home by stabbing. Her name is in a report alongside other women who lost their lives to intimate partner violence that year. These are women who should still be here with us. Mothers, daughters, sisters, friends, all gone. But despite all of that tension, despite the public questioning of paternity and embarrassment, Deja still made a selfless decision, because her daughter deserved to know who her father is and he deserved to see his daughter regardless, and that decision would ultimately destroy her. It was Thanksgiving, and she was going to make sure baby Lonnie got to spend some time with him. November 25th, 2021, Wednesday night, Thanksgiving Eve. Deja makes one final post. I got this mummy shit on lock. My daughter will never need for anything. Can't wait to celebrate her first Thanksgiving tomorrow. She was ready, confident, excited about her daughter's first Thanksgiving, about providing for her, about being the mother she'd always dreamed of being. It was gonna be Lonnie's first Thanksgiving. Deja had been talking about it all week, but Deja Jenkins never made it to that Thanksgiving dinner. And what happened inside that house on Llewellyn Street would shatter a family, devastate a community, and leave a 2-month-old baby girl without her mother. And the reality is, this story is not unique. Across the country, women are losing their lives at the hands of men they once loved, men they had children with, men they tried to co-parent with. The decision Deja made to bring her daughter to see her father is a decision thousands of mothers make every single day, trying to do right by their kids, trying to give their children access to both parents, even when the relationship is over. Most of the time, it's fine. Co-parenting happens. Kids spend time with both parents. Everyone moves on. But sometimes, it ends like this. And that's what makes this so heavy. Because how is a mother supposed to know? How is she supposed to protect herself while also trying to give her child what they need? As of right now, Leonard Robinson remains in custody. The trial is reportedly scheduled for July 2025, though anyone familiar with the legal system knows that date could change. Deja's family continues to wait for their day in court, the day when all the evidence will be presented, when a jury will hear what happened, when justice hopefully will be served. The community hasn't forgotten Deja. Her name still comes up. Her story is still shared. And every time it's told, the same questions arise. Why didn't he just get a DNA test? Why 58 times? How do you do that to the mother of your child? There are no good answers to those questions. What we're left with is a little girl growing up without her mother and a grandmother raising her granddaughter while grieving her daughter. Deja Jenkins Minus had her whole life ahead of her. February 15th, 1999 to November 25th, 2021. 22 years old. Mother, daughter, sister, friend. Her mother, Latoya, said it simply.
I'm hurt, I'm numb, I'm angry, and I want justice for my baby and my grandbaby.
And that's what this community is still waiting for. Justice for Deja.